Let's crochet something for St. Patrick's Day. So I've been trying to get a head start on crocheting things for the holidays and seasons, and St. Patrick's Day will be here before you know it. I really wanted to do a pot of gold keychain for St. Patrick's Day, but I wasn't really finding a pattern for what I wanted. At the same time, I'm also trying to get into pattern writing, so I thought this would be some good practice to make something just simple, straight to the point, and for the holiday. Let's talk about the supplies we have. I have Premier Parfait Chunky in the colors mustard and black. I have my crochet hook in the size 4.5 millimeter. I have a darning needle to sew in the ends and a stitch marker. I also have a burn tool, but you can definitely just use scissors. I've been really loving using these. It cuts down a lot on like the strays and little yarn lint that scissors may cause. So definitely recommend. I have a notebook and pen to keep track of the pattern. So in my head, I'm thinking something about yay big puff stitches or bobble stitches in the top, come down to the pot in black, and then it kind of curves, like a pot of gold. And it's also, like I said, small enough to use as a keychain or a bag tag. So I'm going to start from the top down, so from the gold to the pot. So I'm going to start off with the mustard and use a magic ring. I know the magic ring is difficult for some people, so you can definitely use the chain 2 method where you chain 2 and then work your stitches in the first chain. Today I'm going to use the magic ring. Normally for bigger things I do use the chain 2 method, but for smaller things I tend to use the magic ring. So I'm thinking let's start with a 6 count magic ring in single crochets. Let me place my stitch marker on before we get started. 1, 2, 3, tighten it up. 4, 5, and 6. First, let's close this magic ring. So I'm also going to crochet over the tail, and I like to go ahead and move my stitch marker to the new start of the round and go in that first single crochet. So I kind of don't want to see a lot of this center part here, so I feel like I should go ahead and write in with the puff or bobble stitch. I'm going to try the bobble stitch first because I really think I'm going to like that. I'm going to let's do a 4 double crochet bobble stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, pull it through, go through 2 loops. Do that 4 times. After you have 5 loops, yarn over, pull that all the way through, and you have a bobble. To make the bobble stand up, I'm going to single crochet in the same stitch. I feel like that's gonna close, make my bobble stitch puff out and also do an increase for each round. So I'm gonna do that 6 more times and let's see how it looks when we're done. So I'm on my last bobble stitch. I'm gonna do my last single crochet, and this was a tough squeeze, but I've got them all in. I'm gonna puff these bobble stitches out some, and this is what we have so far. So I'm liking what I see. I'm gonna go ahead and write that down as my rounds 1 and 2. Now we're moving on to round 3. So round 3, I wanted these to be the height of the pot of gold, and the next round to decrease a little bit in height to kind of give it a dome shape. So instead of a 4 double crochet bobble stitch, I'm going to bring it down to a 2, and we'll see how that looks. If we like it, we'll run with it. And then we're also going to include those single crochets so we get our increases. So instead of doing the typical 1 single crochet, 1 increase, I think we should do a single crochet bobble stitch increase. That might be a bit much, but let's try it out and see how it looks. So we're going to start off in that first stitch with a single crochet and then do a 2 double crochet bobble stitch increase. Close off that bobble stitch and then go into the next stitch. Oh no, that's not right, because how are we going to close the bobble stitch if we do that? Okay, let's rethink. So if we're doing a single crochet increase, the bobble stitches need to close. So I guess we'll just reverse it. The single crochet will be the bobble stitch, and then we'll do 2 single crochet increases and see how that looks. Begin with our bobble stitch and then single crochet increase in between. I don't know. I don't know if that's big enough. I think I'm going to increase the bobble stitch to 3 double crochets and see if I like that. Okay, I'm liking that a lot better. See if I can get closer to the camera so you can see. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna keep going on this round, write it down, and then move on to the next. Okay, I have that round completed. I did switch out my stitch marker for a locking stitch marker. The other one kept falling out, and we don't need that. So I finished that round. If the math is mathing, we should have 18 stitches in this round.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
This is enough for the top. And I think we're going to switch to black and go into the back loops. And I'm also going to get another locking stitch marker and place it in the first front loop of my stitch, because when we go around to do the rim of the pot, we'll be able to find our stitches. So like I said, this round is just single crochets all the way around in the back loops. I take that back. We're going to increase. We're going to increase in the back loops, starting with an increase of 2 single crochet, 1 increase. So like I said, I'm going to put my stitch marker on to note the beginning of that round, and then put my stitch marker in the front loops of the first stitch. Sometimes it's helpful to also put it in the last stitch so you know where to stop when you're going around for the brim of the pot later. Go into that back loop with a single crochet and stop there for now. Tie these 2 ends together. Use my little barn tool to cut the mustard off. So I'm going to continue 2 single crochet increase in the back loops only. Okay, so I have that round finished and I like how it looks, so I'm going to write that down. So for round 5, I want to keep increasing 3 single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and write that down because I'm pretty sure that that's what I want to do. 3 single crochet increase 6 times, which should give us a stitch count of 30. And this time we're going through both of the loops. Okay, I've just finished my round and I ended on a increase, so I'm confident that I have enough stitches in that round that I do have 30 stitches. If you don't end on an increase, or you end on an increase but you still have a stitch or 2 left, that means somewhere in between you skipped a stitch or didn't do the correct amount of single crochets between the increases. So just kind of count back or redo the round. I think that's enough increases, and I'm going to just single crochet around probably for 2 rows. Okay, so I went ahead and did 2 rounds of single crochets, and I don't know. I think now this will kind of come down once we start decreasing, but I think that's a little too wide. I think that's a little too wide for our pot. So I think I'm gonna take out that last row and just do 1 row of single crochets, and then we'll start decreasing. And we ended off on a 3 single crochet increase, so we're gonna start our decreases off at 3 single crochet decrease. And that should put us back at a stitch count to 24. Okay, so I did my round 7 of 3 single crochet decreases, did that 6 times around, and I'm liking that shape a little bit better. It's not going to be so wide. Round 8 is going to be 2 single crochet decrease, and then I'll tell you what my next idea is after that round. Okay, so I finished that round of 2 single crochet decreases, and here's where it's going to get a little tricky. So before I start stuffing, and I did forget to mention fiber fill at the beginning of the video, I'm going to single crochet around in the front loops, then I'm going to come back around and then go in the back loops and decrease to close. And I did go and grab another stitch marker that I'm going to place in the back loop so that when I come back around, I can find where I'm supposed to go. And this is going to create like a brim at the bottom as well as the top of the pot, just to kind of give it more of a pot shape. Now I'm back in my the first stitch, so I'm going to insert my hook where I left my stitch marker and then try my best to find all 18 stitches going around. But this time I'm going to do a 1 single crochet decrease, and I think after that I will close the round. So now I'm going to go ahead and stuff it with some fiber fill. I'll have an opportunity to add a little bit more right before I close the round, but I'm going to add the majority of it now and then continue on. So for keychains, I like the stuff pretty firm, just to have a more durable feel to them. And I'm just realizing, I think I showed you the wrong stitch marker. I pointed to this one, but this is just indicating the end of our round. The stitch marker I'm going into is this one for the back loops. Okay, I think that's enough for now. We kind of have our round pot going on. So I'm going to find that back loop stitch and start working into that. And we're back. Not gonna lie, that was kind of difficult. Feel free to do a couple of single crochet decreases before you put in the fiber fill, because trying to move that out the way and do it in the back loops, that was the test. But we made it to the end, and you can kind of start to see that was the round we just did, and this is what we're trying to close. I think looking at the size of this hole, if I just fasten off now and weave in that, it's gonna cinch it up a little bit, and I don't want that. I want to keep this pretty flat, so I'm not gonna add any more fiber fill so I don't push out the bottom. So I'll go ahead and do 6 decreases and then fasten off and weave in the ends. Okay, I have my decreases in. Don't need the stitch marker anymore. I'm going to leave it till about this long to weave in those last 6 single crochets. So there's a million tutorials on how to cinch close your finishing hole, so I won't go too much into depth about that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and burn it. After I weave it in, we're gonna come back and put in our brim around the top edge. So y'all wasn't gonna tell me that I wasn't writing down my rounds on my notebook. I just looked at my notebook and said, uh-oh, let me write that down. Okay, this is what we have so far. Use whatever your favorite method of weaving in that last end is, use that. I just went through a few stitches in the bottom, pulled it up through the side, used a stitch that's like a piece of yarn that's like underneath the surface, tied it to that, pulled it through to hide the knot. So you can see our little brim down here. I am loving it. This is exactly what I was envisioning in my head. Just something cute, simple. You can definitely change the colors of this, do a green pot and do a more of a yellow gold, whichever one you prefer. Now I'm going to attach a new thread of yarn, and we're gonna work single crochets around in those front loops that we had in round 4, where we used the back loops only, and we also switched to the black yarn in that round. Okay, so we're gonna attach a new string. So get that in that back loop. Pull this up. I'm just gonna go ahead and make my single crochet in this same stitch. So since this was round 4, we're going to be doing this 24 times. I'm gonna fasten this off, tie in and weave in these 2 ends, and then we'll be ready to attach a keychain. And this is our finished pot of gold. So I'm gonna just kind of work this last round. You can kind of see underneath it right here. So just kind of fluff that out, bring it down so it's not so visible. And this is what we have. a simple pot of gold. I'll definitely insert some better pictures. So I have some gold keychains. They are the swivel style. Just gonna add that swivel part into the top. Now I've seen several methods of attaching keychains. If you attach yours with the ending tail, then you would just leave a length long enough to draw it back up through. I haven't tried that method yet. Every time I go to make a keychain, I forget to do it, to be honest, just like I did today. Otherwise, I'm just gonna take some pliers, open up this jump ring, insert it into a few stitches in the top, close it up, and that'll be it. So I have my jump ring open, and I'm just gonna find 2 or 3 stitches to draw that through, kind of on either side of that magic ring, just so I don't have a lot of tension on just one stitch. You know, I feel like that can easily ruin the shape and the design. Kind of wiggle that closed. Here it is. This is exactly what I wanted. So if you watched all the way to the end of this video, I'm going to go ahead and end it with, if you want to be a pattern tester, I will rewatch my video to make sure I have everything correct, because there was one more mistake. Let's see if you caught it. Tell me in the comments below if you caught my mistake. But I'm going to make this look pretty. If you want to pattern test it, I don't know how many people. I'm just going to see who wants to do it, send you the pattern and the details, and I want you to try this out and let me know how it came out and what keychain you chose, what colors you chose. I think that would be awesome. So let me know in the comments or send me a message, and I will create a group chat where we can pattern test this keychain. So thank you so much for following this tutorial with me. Let me know, what are you working on? Any patterns or plushies for St. Patrick's Day? I did make a few other things that I have on my Etsy shop, and I also made a little leprechaun hat that I can add to other plushies, so I'll definitely write an official pattern for that too. So yeah, there it is.